Okay, Rattlers, if I may have your attention. Apologize for the late start. These are some new glasses. I haven't been able to drive for the past 3 months because I had to have cataract surgery. And then he said, I will only improve your driving if you're wearing these glasses. The surgery was successful. I can see much better, except I couldn't find my glasses this morning. So took, took me a while to find them. Uh, I'm working on that. We're going to start out, people, with a moment of silence for Mrs. Frances Knight. Mrs. Knight had become a regular member before experiencing an illness. She passed away last Thursday night. Services will be held Saturday, 11 a.m. at the Old Western Richmond Center. She was a longtime Rattler, season ticket holder, and investing in champion supporter and Rattler booster member. She loved the orange and green. So a few moments for Mrs. Frances Knight, please. Thank you very much. I want to begin by introducing a very special guest, along a lady I've admired for a very long time, a distinguished dean, Miss Dr. Valencia Matthews, the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, in the back there. You know, Mrs. Matthews, Dr. Matthews, is one of the unsung heroes of FAMU. Uh, in the recruiting program, when we went on recruiting trips, the FAMU connection made the big difference. They were a first class, first rate entertaining group that could have performed on national television, and the person responsible for that primarily was Dr. Valencia Matthews. So let's give Dr. Matthews another round of applause. Thank you. Now, Dr. Matthews, I don't intend to ask you to make a contribution to our women's sports campaign. Far be it from me to do something like that. However, now y'all, Leroy gave me a joke. See, I would have claimed it until I read it. I will, Leroy, I probably need to work with this one. I think I'll no, I think I'll work with it for next week. Okay, and tell one of my old jokes. One of the good things about having some senior citizens that they don't remember whether I've told the joke before or not. I can just tell them over and over again. One of the things I like about myself for as I grow old, I'm not like a lot of other old people who sometimes repeats a lot of stuff they say. Y'all might know I never do that. But true story. I don't know how many of you here remember Mrs. Hagan and Mr. Niles in the athletic office. Those two people ran the whole. They handled everything, all the trips, where the team had to stay. Mr. Niles was the business manager. They were very, very good at their jobs. And my first year as sports information director, I hung out in the office with them a lot. And Coach Gaither didn't write his letters out, he dictated them. So he would always holler for Miss Hagan, who was a secretary and combination of assistant athletic director, everything else. And Coach would holler, Hagan, come in here and take a letter. And she would go take a letter. And if Mrs. Hagan wasn't in, he'd call Mr. Niles, come in here and take a letter. And so I used to tell both of them, I'm the director of sports information. I ain't taking no letters. Yeah. And one day I was in the office by myself, just me and Coach Gaither. He didn't know I was outside, and he hollered for Hagan. Hagan. I said, she's not here, Coach. He said, Niles. I said, he's not here, Coach. He said, "Who's that?" I said, "It's Jack." He called me Jack when he could remember Jack. He used to, coach called everybody baby because he couldn't remember their name. And he said, "Who is that?" I said, "It's Jack. Come in here, Jack, and take a letter." Well, I said to myself, "I'm not taking any letters." So I went in and sat down and pulled out a pen and a pad and said, "Okay, coach, I'm ready." The hard part of that is Mrs. Hagan and Niles came in while I was taking the letter, and they rolled all over the floor laughing. After that, we never said good morning or hello or good evening. We always said, "Take a letter." Uh, Important announcement. Senator Lawson, Congressman Lawson, and I were supposed to speak before the board. He was going to speak on naming the street after Althea Gibson, and I was going to talk about a statue. But because of the time factor, we had only 3 minutes, and we could only cover one subject. So I told Al, "Well, you just talk about the street, and I'll save mine for later." But Al gave a very interesting and informative information about who Althea Gibson was, what she did, what she meant to FAMU. And one of the things he said is she's the most famous woman in Tallahassee when she was here. And that was important, I thought. But if anybody read my article Sunday about Althea, you know, yeah, I'm not. Thank you, Doc. I'm not promoting myself or anything, but it was a very good article. She was also at one time the most famous woman in the world. And one of the things I want to mention about Althea that I had in the article, there's a almost $200,000 endowment at the foundation in her name, and that endowment has been supporting education majors since the 1990s. Bill Cosby started that endowment in her name with $100,000, I think, in 1996, I believe, somewhere back then. But when he talked to her about he wanted to do something for her, and she recommended to give it to FAMU. So when you give money back to support Althea Gibson, remember that she's still giving the FAMU students and will be given in from now on. But Al Lawson, when he finished, the board gave him a round of applause and instructed the president to move swiftly to do what he could to get one inch away. Let me see, Colonel Joe was one inch away from FAMU, the FAMU way all the way to Orange Avenue. Okay, and the board voted unanimously to approve that. Asked the president to move swiftly to get it done. He also told them that we were working on a possibility of a statute, and he said the board applauded that. So they all in for Althea. So it should be very easy to raise the rest of the money we need for women's sports and the statute. Uh, and I need to recognize a very special lady from Belgrade, Mrs. Bernita Cox, Florida. Sent $1,000 for the women's sports campaign, and she sent it to the boosters. But she said, "This is for the women's sports campaign, and tell Eddie Jackson I want to hear my name this this Wednesday." So, so Miss Benita Cox, thank you for your donation. I understand you're coming for homecoming. We'd love to have you at the 220 if you get here early enough. We meet every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. But thank you very much for your $1,000 for the women's sports campaign. Also want to thank Zach Anthony. Where's Zach? Oh, there's Zach right there, who also gave $1,000. And I need to say something about all these $1,000 that are coming in. If you're only going to give 100, that's just as important as your, well, maybe not, but 100, but 100. Don't forget to, by the way, we're at $35,000 now. $35,000. We $15,000 away. And so between now and the end of November, I know some of you are going to give 50. I got a $50 check today from Barbara. That's Hewitt Higgs, and I'm sorry, they're in Houston. Yeah, I've been knowing the Higgs a long time. Fantastic couple. Uh, so your $50, your $25, your $100 count just as much. And I'm going to inform the vice president that that plaque she was talking about, putting everybody's name on, is not just for the $1,000 givers. It's for everyone who make a contribution of any sort. And next week, I'm coming out with just an incredible plan to raise some more money. You don't want to miss next week to hear what I come up with. It's it's a great idea. Uh, I want to say a couple of things about not about Coach Simmons, but about football. Y'all all know I played the game and have a lot of knowledge about it. But I'm gonna break up here for just a moment and call up our president of the FAMU Boosters, Mr. Selvin Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Oh, I'm letting Mike hold it up. I'm getting directions from several folk and taking me a while to get up here. But hello, everyone. I just want to bring you greetings from the FAMU Rattler Boosters and let Mr. Jackson know that Dr. Matthews, not only she's an honored guest, but she is a special guest here today because Dr. Matthews is getting ready to get her life membership plaque. Okay. Now, if our illustrious camera person that volunteered, oh, she's here. So, congratulations, Dr. Matthews.
Thank you kindly.
This is your life membership plaque. And for those who don't know, our life membership is an endowed scholarship. The money is deposited into the foundation. It's $750. You don't have to pay it all at one time, but you have 3 years to pay. You can pay $250 a year. Or if you like Dr. Matthews, you can pay it all at one time. But not all of us are like that. But that's not the only membership that we have. We have another a membership called the Venom, and that's $300 a year. And if you just want to pay on an annual basis, that's $100 a year. So, and if you have a student in school, $50 membership. We have a student membership, so we cover the whole waterfront. So again, Dr. Matthews, have we gotten the picture? Okay, all right. Well, yeah, because I want to be in the picture. Yeah, I guess it'd probably been easy for me to walk around there. That's okay. There we go. How's this? Microphone.
Microphone.
Now. So
Thanks,
you.
brother.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Uh, while I have the microphone, I just want to top line some of the other athletic events. Volleyball, we had an excellent week in volleyball. We were out in Prairie View. We played Southern, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. We won 2 matches out there. We lost to Texas Southern, and we came back Thursday, and we were part of the homecoming festivities down in Daytona. And guess what? We had a volleyball match that Thursday night, and we won 3-0. So not only did they lose the football game, but they lost the volleyball game too. Currently, we're in second place with a 6-2 record. Our next event is going to be this weekend. We're going to go to the state of Alabama. We're going to play Alabama State on Friday, and on the 21st, we're going to play Alabama A&M in Huntsville. Um, this is the 8th week of volleyball, and for every week, we've had a superlative, someone from our volleyball team win one of the SWAC conference superlatives. So we're going to continue that streak as well. The SWAC volleyball tournament is going to be at the same time while we're at the Florida Classic. That's the 17th through the 19th. And tournament this year is going to be held out of Texas again in Prairie View. Bowling, we opened up our season in New Orleans last week, and we finished, that was held at Tulane University, and we finished 12 out of 14. So we still got some work to do on bowling. We do have a new bowling coach, and her name is Capri Howard. So if you see her around, congratulate her and welcome her to the highest of the Seven Hills. Golf, had a great week in golf. We won the SAS championship. That's the Division I HBCU Invitational Golf Tournament that was held in Cary, North Carolina. We had 4 players to finish in the top 5. So we won by 7. We finished with a -7, and the second place team was Alabama State, and they were a +7. So we kind of ran away with the tournament. So giving us something forward to for golf. Now moving on to some booster news. Coach, you'll be pleased to know that we sent some 300 cases of muscle milk over this morning. Cole Forney, coach, the strength and conditioning coach, Cole Forney, was saying that the supply was low, and we were able to get some more. It will be delivered this afternoon, the first thing tomorrow morning. That I was told by the salesperson. So I just want to applaud you all for what you do to help our student athletes. And for those folk who are listening online, I want to applaud you too, because several of you have taken the time to send us checks. And for those who have thought about it, who have yet to do so, make the checks out to FAMU Rattler Boosters, Post Office Box 5865, Tallahassee, Florida, 30314. A case of muscle milk is $15. So if you want to send enough or buy 1 case of muscle milk, we'll certainly appreciate it. But that's not all that we do. We support all of the sports. A couple of weeks ago, our track team was over at FSU Invitational, cross-country team. And everybody had a tent but us. You know, Edward Waters has probably been in, that's a little school compared to us. But they had their track team under a tent. We didn't have one. But that's been rectified. Talked to Coach Garfield, and I thought Coach Garfield was going to stop by today, but something else must have come up. But we will be purchasing a track team. I mean, not a track team, a tent for our track team. Again, I want to thank you for the contributions that you made. I also want to tell you that our treasurer back there, Bill Woods, we will always be accountable for the money that you send us. We have to have receipts, and no receipt, no check. And when you give money, he's going to give you a receipt to let you know that he has a receipt of your money, and we will be good stewards of the contributions that we get. We spend almost $14,000 a year for bookkeeping and auditing services. So I just want to say that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And any funds that you give us will go directly to our student athletes. So thanks again for investing into our programs. And one other thing, I think Tommy made the announcement about the bus for those booster members. We do have a bus that will be taking you from the host hotel. There's a state trooper escort to the stadium and back. So you don't have to worry about parking. This year, we're going to do something a little different. The boosters has been footing the cost for the bus. But someone had the great idea, rather than us footing the cost for the bus, why don't we pay for the bus and let that money go for muscle milk and all these other things, tents and all these other items that we need to buy for our student athletes. So this year, round trip from the Grand Hyatt Hotel to Camping World Stadium, $25. You can't beat that with a stick and drum. Thank you all for your participation, and thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, Selvin. Selvin suggested that the 220 buy a tent and the boosters buy a tent. And I said, well, Selvin, where's Roy Moore? Roy here? Yeah. I said, Selvin, we just gave $5,000 to Roy for nutrition. So why don't the boosters pay for both tents? And Selvin said, no problem, we'll handle it. And Selvin, since you brought that up, Coach, I don't know what year it was, but FAMU was playing, I believe, Bobby Bowden's old school, Sanford University, and it was hot, and very hot. A couple of people fell out, and I went down to the field, and behind the Rattlers bench were 3 fans blowing hot air back on the Rattlers. I walked over behind Sanford's bench. They had 3 fans blowing ice chips. You could see the ice all over their players. And I started thinking, well, what does it cost to just buy a little more ice so the players could be cool? Sometimes, we are our own worst enemies because we aren't thinking about how we can make life better for our student athletes. It'd be so much easier to do that. And I think that was the beginning of why we have a coolant recovery center now for the team. Because I started thinking at that point, what could I do? And I think Jerry came up with the idea, but I said, no, I don't think that'll work. So I claimed it. I want to thank Dr. Matthews again. She asked me, she said, well, does the 220 have a life membership? I said, of course. Don't y'all tell her different. She said she's going to make a contribution. I said, I was a little more than the boosters. I'm going to stop now before she refused to pay her money. Coach, I do want to say that past couple of weeks, there was a outstanding football coach. He was undefeated. And all he had to do to stay undefeated was take a knee. And he called a running play. And the University of Miami lost the game to Georgia Tech, who covered the fumble, and 3 plays where he's in the end zone. And I said, wow, boy, suppose Coach Simmons had called that play. Then there was another coach who led at halftime 29-0. And Jerry and I went to bed saying, hey, this is in the bag. And then the next morning, I said, boy, I wonder if that had happened to Coach Simmons. I better get off this. Forgot I'm on YouTube. Coach, I'm going to take one moment for Dr. Walker, who has a brief announcement. She says very important. Dr. Walker.
Hello, Rattlers, and hello, Rattlers in Volusia County. Alumni I'm making this announcement for head coach Bridget Gordon, head coach of the women's basketball team. She's being honored in DeLand um, this afternoon by her home team, her home family, and home Rattlers. She told me to tell you also that she will push the women's basketball, the women's athletics fundraiser, and she will bring back, hopefully, at least $5,000. So my home folks in DeLand, Daytona, New Smyrna, Coach Joe, Daytona, and with Mike Williams and others that are there, help her bring back the $5,000. And the special announcement I was going to make, hopefully, Geraldine Jackson has solved the problem because the women's basketball, I don't know about other sports, but the women's basketball coach team doesn't have um, space for recruits when she brings them here. So she wanted me to ask if there were any. She's bringing 3 recruits for homecoming, and she doesn't have housing for them. It'll be 3 recruits. One comes alone, and 2 come with their parents. So I imagine that's a problem not only for homecoming, but for other games and for other sports. So if there's any possibility of bringing
I was going to ask you to do that. Yeah. Doctor, Dr. Walker, thank you for that announcement. And if you come through with that 5,000, I'm going to forgive everything you've done in the past. uh, this is turning out to be, which could be the most important football season in a long time. One of the most important in FAMU's history. And I talked with Coach at the Union the other day, the hub, and gave him a few ideas about how to handle Texas Southern. And he thanked me for that, and I told him no need to thank me because I'm happy to do it. And Coach, I know it's time for me to get away now. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers, Coach Willie Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And being that we had a bye week last week, I'm sure Coach Rice appreciates you helping the guys that last day with the strokes, and allowed us to pull away. So Coach Rice wanted me to tell you thank you for the swing tips that you were able to give the golfers going into that last day. So yeah, fact that we didn't have a football game, you were able to kind of lend your services to some of the other sports. So we really appreciate that. But no, it's always great to be here. Want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Zach Ansley. Obviously, we had a big win a couple of weeks ago against the Southern Jaguars, and had a long bus ride back. And once we arrived at, I don't even remember what time it was in the morning. It's pretty early, about 7:30 in the morning. Of course, we had one of our beloved Rattlers there waiting for us, and ushered the team in and gave the guys some encouraging words. And so I really appreciate you, Mr. Ansley, for taking the time out for doing that. That meant a lot. He said he called Dr. Walker, but she said she wasn't coming. Said it was too early in the morning. Colonel Joe would have been there. He used to getting up early. So next time, call Colonel Joe first. I'm sure he'll get everybody round up. But no, it was a great win. Obviously, like I said, during that week, Baton Rouge is always a tough place to play. It was a really good crowd there, and defense played lights out like we have all season. Offense did enough. We kind of had some moments there early on where we didn't get going, but found our flow there in the second half and was able to pull away from the game with the big win, and so keeps us obviously atop the East standings at 4-0. Again, nationally ranked for the I think the fifth week in a row. Dipped a little bit, being that we didn't play. We dipped from 16 to 18 in the coaches poll, and from 18 to 19 in the media poll, but still ranked, and probably a good thing we didn't play last week. There are a lot of upsets last week. A lot of teams lost on their homecoming, and so I was having those same sentiments that you were thinking about, Ed. Like, what would they say to me if we lost on our homecoming? But we're not gonna worry about that. But the guy, we took advantage of the bye week. We really have four main objectives whenever we have a bye week. First and foremost, we want to allow our guys to get caught up academically. We've played 4 away games so far this season, and so we're leaving on Fridays. Guys are missing classes and getting back again wee hours of the morning. So wanted to give those guys a chance to really get caught up in the classroom, turn some papers in, do some group projects and things of that nature. So we gave them Sunday and Monday off of last week, and then we practiced Thursday morning, and so they had Thursday and all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. Friday, Saturday off, and came back on Sunday. So we wanted to give the guys a chance to get caught up academically. Second thing, obviously, we want to get healthy. After 6 physical weeks, there were some guys that were a little banged up with some nicks and bruises that we wanted to rest up a little bit, and we feel like that helped. We were able to get some back. K-Dot, Jeremiah, Jalen Goff, some of those guys have been able to practice this week, and we're encouraged that they'll be able to go with us. Jalen's probably the furthest away, but the other 2 guys, we think they'll be able to go. And third thing we wanted to do is obviously clean up on some fundamental things that have kind of hindered us the first 6 weeks with some alignments and some communication things. And so we worked on that a lot of individual time, not as much team good on good work, a lot of individual time. And then the last thing, which we really didn't get a chance to do because we got rained out Thursday morning, we always give our guys, young guys, the guys that are redshirting and haven't played, a chance to just really kind of scrimmage and have some live reps. But we didn't get a chance to do that with the rain on Thursday morning. And then we were able to get out on the road and do some recruiting. And so we kind of went throughout the state and up to Atlanta and even out to Kansas to the junior colleges. So we were able to see a lot of really good prospective student athletes as we kind of get on this last half of the season. So we thought the bye week was productive, came at a perfect time, kind of right in the middle of the season. And so that was really good for us. And now we're back at the swing of things this last 5-week regular season stretch with the goal to obviously, extend it 2 more games, SWAC championship and the obviously Celebration Bowl. So huge test this weekend against Texas Southern. They've won their last 2 games after starting 0-4 and beat, of course, the little team down the road this past weekend by 3 for their homecoming. And so playing pretty good ball. And so our guys, yeah, Dr. Walker, we don't really say their name around here. You're telling somebody else that, yeah. But, yeah, they beat up on the little guys down the road. And but, again, we're going to Houston, first time going to Texas in I think 45 years. So the last time we were in Texas, we were winning 1AA national championship with Coach Hubbard. So before I was even born. So again, that's excited to go back to Houston, and obviously I spent 3 years there before I got here, and really excited. So if I get lost for a little bit, that's some of my old honey holes that I used to frequent back in the day. So don't get concerned. I know my way back. So I will be to the game by kickoff at 7. But excited about the game. So watch that. Who? No, I said honey. Honey hole. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta watch this crew over here, Eddie. You gotta watch this crew over here in the corner. You gotta articulate it. I forgot the crowd I'm talking to right now. Like I said, I wasn't born when the championship was 45 years ago, so that term is kind of taking on a new with this generation. I don't know what it meant back in y'all when y'all were in college, but there's over 60 crowd here. So good to see Coach Garfield in the house. Good to see you, Coach. He'll come up and address everybody in a little bit. But any questions about Southern game or comments or questions about this week's game? Yeah, so obviously we addressed that on Tuesday when we got on the field, and they didn't like it very much. But it was a physical game, it was an intense game, and the officials did allow a lot of things to happen after the play, and a lot of them were happening to our guys, and for a long time they didn't retaliate, and eventually their frustration kind of boiled over, and they did a few times. So I had a long talk with the officials before the game and during the game about their role in kind of trying to mitigate some of that stuff from happening, because obviously football is a physical sport, it's a contact sport. There are a lot of things that happen um, at the bottom of the pile that people don't see, at the plays that people don't see, and we really stay on our guys about not retaliating, but naturally at a certain point everyone gets frustrated, and a couple of our two of the personal fouls were retaliatory fouls. One, I'm not gonna say what the guy did, but our guy retaliated, and then the last one with Isaiah Major was after the touchdown that they scored that we didn't think he got in, and Isaiah, said something to the official that the official apparently didn't like and flagged him for saying something to the official, which I disagree with that one. I'm like, it's an intense game, late in the game. I mean, you got to kind of put your feelings aside. Somebody says something to you, like, it's football. But 13s was totally uncalled for, and so he paid for that one dearly. And those are the ones that we obviously can't tolerate. So we got to continue to distress, you know, pre-snap and post-whistle penalties. Those are the ones that get you beat. And I didn't say anything about the holding, the pass interferences, but when we get false starts and we get personal fouls, those are going to be dealt with when we hit the practice field again that next day. Well, that's their thing. So, yeah, fortunately, luckily it didn't. But I guess that's kind of their thing. The fourth quarter starts, they turn the lights off in the stadium, and their team kind of comes to the hash. And so, I got a bunch of wild Florida boys, so they went to the hash, and I turned my back and said, Lord, turn these lights on quickly, because I can't grab 70 of them. I might be able to hold one or two of them, but I can't hold 70 of them back. So, but nah, I mean, it was, I guess that's kind of part of their um, game day ritual routine or whatever. Um, hopefully they pay the bills over there at Southern, because one person's responsible to turn all them lights off, and they don't come back on, we got a problem. So, but no, I mean, it was, that's what they do. They turn their lights off at half. I mean, third quarter, going to the fourth quarter. So that was our first time seeing it happen. Both, yeah. Well, the lights off, you can't see who's on and who's off of it. So, but yeah, that's kind of their thing. But it worked out. Yes, sir. So right now we control our own destiny. So we're a game up on Alabama A&M. So they have one conference loss, we have none. So theoretically, we play them in a few weeks. So if they don't lose, that game will determine who wins the East. So right now we both control our own destiny. We win out, we win the East. They win out, they win the East, and that's the way it goes. So Jackson and Alabama State are mathematically out of it unless one of us loses 3 times, And so right now it looks like a two-man race between us and Alabama A&M, and that could be decided next week. They have a conference game, so if they lose a conference game, then we'll clinch. If we win this weekend and win next weekend, if we both win this weekend, well, they don't play, but if we win this weekend and next weekend, they win next weekend, the game against them up in Huntsville will determine who wins the East. Yes, sir. I'll come to you in a second. I didn't mention 2018. Yeah. For some reason, people like reminding me of what happened in 2018. I try not to think about it too much, but no, and Wilbur said it. But to be honest, I mean that's it. I think that was the impetus for the nutritional program starting. Ed and I talked after that last game and just kind of recapped the season, and I told him, honestly, our guys just broke down physically. Isaiah, not Isaiah, Elijah Richardson, one of our linebackers, lost 20 pounds during football season. And that last game in the classic, I mean, his knee braces were sliding down his leg. He couldn't even step on his leg because they're custom fit to your leg. So when they mold them to the size of your leg. Well, by the time we got to the last game, they wouldn't fit anymore. They would just slide down his leg like old socks. And so that was because he lost so much weight during the season. So then Eddie obviously, had the op-ed in the paper and started the nutritional program. And since then, we've finished the season undefeated. The only time we've lost at the end of the season was the playoff game in 21. Since then, so that goes a long way. Just our ability to keep our guys fresh, the weight that they put on during the season and maintain their strength, physically keeps them healthy. And so the nutritional program, I think, has been a godsend for us, and that will allow us to sustain ourselves physically over the next 5 weeks. Yeah, so Moose would be considered a pocket passer. He his strength is throwing the ball from the pocket. He can run. We just don't design a lot of runs for him. We could very easily if we wanted to, but to take hits off of them and keep them from trying to, throw the ball getting tackled 15 times, we typically don't do that. So there were some opportunities there in the game last 2 weeks ago that we did see some opportunities. So a couple of them were design runs. They were actually called quarterback runs. Well, read plays where depending on what the defense does, he has the option to pull it and run it, and he did that a couple of times and got some positive yards. And then on the scrambles, that's always a part of his progression. Once you drop back and your first and second and third read isn't there, then check it down to the running back, or you become a check down yourself and run it. And he did that a few times. So he has the ability to run and extend plays. He's shown that throughout time this season. We just, excuse me, we just haven't got to a point offensively where we call design quarterback runs for him. He could very easily, but we just don't do it. So, but he will run when it's called on. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, I wouldn't say it's not a preference. We do what we feel we need to do to win, and so if a team is playing a lot of man coverage, we will call some read plays where nobody's responsible for the quarterback. So if he pulls it, he has a chance to get some positive yards. So again, I'm not opposed to Jeremy running. If he ever pulls it down and runs it, I'm not gonna tell him that was the wrong decision. And we want him to sit in the pocket, and what we don't want is for him to drop back and take off as soon as he gets back there. Like, go through your progressions and then run if nothing is there. So that's just part of his normal progression. Ed? So Marquise Bell, who had another phenomenal game with the Cowboys Monday night, he did. And so Marquise is playing their dime, which is football terminology. Dime means they're taking their linebackers off the field and adding more defensive backs. And so he's kind of their dime linebacker. So when he comes into the game, he's playing a position that a linebacker would play. And so he's basically in the box and making a bunch of plays from inside the box. So he doesn't start the game that way, typically because teams don't start out in passing situations, but but he's playing a lot and playing really well. And I think Marquise is really setting himself up to have a pretty significant payday. So that's great for him and great for FAMU. And they called our name a bunch the other night. They called FAMU's name a bunch. Yeah, yeah. So Marquise is playing really good football, but excited for the young man. Like I say, I don't. It doesn't surprise me. Um, we knew we had something special the first time we saw him running around on the field. Before he even hit the practice field, we saw him running around doing drills. We knew we had a gym. But just his approach to football, how serious he is, how passionate he is about it, how much he studies it. He has the intangible things that make him a pro. Physically, yes, but there are a lot of physical guys that don't play pro football. There are a lot of guys that are 6'2", 210, can run, who don't make it to the NFL because they don't have the mindset, the work ethic, the drive to do it every day. And that's what it takes. Again, every player comes into college saying they want to play pro football. Every single one of them wants to play pro football. But only a small percentage actually do the things daily that it takes to position yourself to play in the number one football league in the world. These are the 1,500 best football players in the entire world who play in the National Football League. And you're trying to be one of those guys. It's very, very difficult. I mean, it's one of the toughest things to do is make it to the National Football League. And so guys that come in, and some of them have great size and great athleticism, they think it's just a meal ticket to the NFL. It's not. There are 130 FBS playing programs, 130 FCS playing programs, another 150 Division twos. There's Division threes. There's a lot of college football players that are seniors this year. Only about 250 of them are going to have a chance to play in the National Football League. And so for our guys, a lot of them, just that realization that, hey, you got to be not even special. You got to be better than special to play in the National Football League. And fortunately for us, we've had three guys that are better than special, and that's Marquise Bell, Isaiah Land, and Xavier Smith. And just physically, yes, they have great physical ability, but the thing that separates them from every player we've coached here is their approach to everything, not just football, but weights, conditioning, film, class. Like, they're just dialed in differently, and that's what it takes. So they're a great example of how to be elite. We talk about excellence. Those three gentlemen exemplify excellence to the highest degree, and that's why they're living out their dreams playing the National Football League. And they won't be the last ones. We have some guys now that have that same mindset. We had two scouts here today, and I was talking about some of those guys. So we're creating a pipeline to the NFL, and that shows a program on the rise. But I'm extremely excited about Marquise and his future. Wilbur, y'all start the Biloxi? Well, twice this year, y'all benched Moose, and he's got SWAT Player of the Week twice. So y'all keep benching him. Y'all just keep benching him. He keeps playing well enough to be recognized by the conference. But We talked about it at length 2 weeks ago, so I'm not going to bore you with the same conversation. But that's the nature of the quarterback position. I mean, no quarterback who plays for any program that loves football avoids criticism. I mean, Caleb Williams is, I mean, he ain't arguably, he will be the number one pick in the draft next year. He won the Heisman Trophy last year. He'll be top 3 this year if he doesn't win it. And he threw 3 picks last week. And there's some SC fans who are calling for him probably to be benched. And this is when I say generational talent, like I read something to come over here today that he now sometimes you can't believe what you read, but it's on enough platforms to believe it's true, is that he's actually suggesting that a team gives him stake in the part ownership in the team to draft him. Like he's that talented that he can demand part ownership in the team. I mean, he's like the top quarterback prospect, and I don't know since when. I mean, John Elway or one of those guys who's a can't miss guy. Like, but he threw 3 picks last week and they lost to Notre Dame. And there are some fans. What, man? He's at Southern Cal. He's at Southern Cal. So there are some fans that were probably calling for Caleb Williams' head, right? So I mean, Shedeur Sanders is leading the nation in passing. I mean, there's some Colorado fans probably calling for his head. Like it, it comes with the territory. It's quarterback. Like there's some of y'all secretly calling saying Eddie needs to step down. Yeah. I mean, you ain't gonna say it publicly. You're gonna use your fake account to say it on with your fake page, but I mean, some of us you just can't do enough. Right? You just can't do enough for some people. But that's passion. That's part of what makes sports what it is. It's just part of. That's why football is such a popular sport. It's so polarizing because everybody's so vested in it. Like if you love it so much, you're vested in it. No matter what happens, you just love it, right? And if we can win 99-1, somebody be mad we didn't win 100-0, and it's just part of it. So, but we'd rather be on this side of it than I sure wouldn't want to be in Jackson, Mississippi right now. I wouldn't want to be in Daytona right now. I wouldn't want to be in a lot of places this week because they lost homecomings. So, yeah, you definitely want to do that. So the hit on K Dot, it was close. It was close. Um, the guys, he didn't launch. So for it to be targeting, they say all of the elements have to take place. It had to be 3 elements of targeting. And if all 3 aren't conclusive, then they don't call targeting. So based on the camera angle, Southern's been notorious for not having great camera angles for replay. And so it was kind of hard to tell. It was a bang bang play. It was close. It could have gone either way. If they called targeting, I would have said yes. If they didn't call it, I understand, because if our guy makes a hit like that, I wouldn't want him thrown out the game for targeting. And so every Southern fan was saying it was the right call. Every Rattler fan gonna say it was the wrong call. That's just the nature of it, you know. So it was a football hit. At the end of the day, that's what I can say. It was a football hit. This is football. And so the message to Jeremy was, hey, you got to throw him and protect the receiver. Like, you can't lead him up the field when the guy's coming over the top, you know. So that's what happens. You extend the receiver over the middle or on the sideline, you run the risk of him getting his bell rung. And, you know, player safety is always our number one concern. The NFL, college, even high schools have done an amazing job with targeting rules. But at the end of the day, this is football. And in football, you're going to get your bell rung sometimes, and it comes along with it, right? So injury-wise up front, we're other than Jalen Goss, I think we're pretty healthy. I mean, obviously there's some guys that have some normal football nicks and bruises, but they will play. And so Jalen Goss is probably the one that's the furthest away. He practiced a little bit today, but I don't think he's to the point yet where he can play. Everybody else should be good to go. Like I said, they're not healthy. I mean, fresh like the first game, but game 7, you're gonna play with a bum shoulder. You're gonna play with a sprained ankle, a hurt knee, I mean, that's offensive line play in big college football. So, I mean, if you're fresh in week 7, you hadn't played at all. So, all of them are a little bit banged up. Yeah, the biggest thing is just what, and so what I looked at, what I try to do during the bye week is do a lot of what we call self scout. So I watch us a lot more than I watch our opponent. And I called Coach Henry in there, and it was middle of last week, and showed him a clip against Jackson State and a clip from the Southern game, and just the difference in kind of how we came off the football. I mean, that first week we were breathing fire. I mean, like those guys were driving Jackson 3-4 yards off the ball, and just played with a mentality that I hadn't really seen in the last few weeks. So we got to get back to that. We got to get back to playing that with that mentality. Now, Mike Marshall was one of those guys, and Mike is probably our most physical offensive lineman. He's obviously out for the year. Jalen Goss is one of our most physical guys. He's out. So you're losing a little bit of that with the guys that's not there. But as a whole, I would just want to see us play with a little bit more physicality in up front, and I think we'll get that back this week. Well, do I think we'll stick with the run game long enough? Not saying do I think I'm sticking with it long enough? It's as a play caller, I kind of go with the flow of the game. Um, Southern's strength of their team is their front. Like they want to control the game with their defensive line, and we had some missed assignments there early. We slipped off some blocks there early, and so we weren't getting the positive yards in the run game as I would have liked. And so what we started trying to do was, instead of running the ball on first down, throw high efficient pass plays. So throw plays that get us 5 yards, 6 yards, as opposed to pushing the ball down the field and get us to a 2nd and 5. Because at the end of the day, you want to stay what they call ahead of the chains and not to call 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. And when you hand the ball off and you get tackled for 1 yard, now you're behind the sticks, and it's hard as a play caller. So we threw the ball 53 times the other day, and I didn't realize it until the game was over. Didn't feel like it, but that's what I guess we needed to do to win. And because we have so many run pass options in our offense, that number will get skewed sometimes because it's dependent on what the defense does. The last touchdown pass to Jamari, the one we scored on, was a run play. That was a run play call. We just had a quick game route tag to the backside of it because they're not blocking. The run's going left. So we call routes to the right. And they were in zero coverage. They were blitzing everybody, and Moose saw it and threw the slant to Jamari. He scored. So it's in the stats as a pass play, but it was a run play that was called. A lot of our passes, if you see them thrown quickly short, are actual runs that Jeremy's making the decision to throw it because of what the defense is giving them. And so I I probably haven't for the last 5 years looked at a run pass ratio. If I look at the number of runs that I call, it's probably more than passes. It's just that the defense dictates us to throw it, and we end up throwing it, right? And so that's just kind of what we've been doing. And so, I, do I want to go in the game and throw it 50 times? Probably not. Probably not. I would love to be able to run it 50 times and throw it 30, and run for 200 yards and throw for 300. Like that would be my goal if we can do that. But it's going to take us to do, like I just said, get more committed to running off the football. Running backs doing a better job of pressing the line of scrimmage, and we got to be able to make somebody miss. Like we're not being as dynamic in the backfield as we need to be, and so we'll block when we do block it right, and there's one guy left that we can't block. We're not consistently making that guy miss, and all those things contribute to us not running the football as well as we need to. And we worked on all that last week, and hopefully you'll see a big difference this weekend. Yes, man, we're gonna fly to Texas. So Texas Southern played. That's their base defense. The defensive coordinator there, Coach Todd, was at Grambling for I think 10 years before this year, and he's always been a three down guy. Now he was three down, three linebackers, five DBs at Grambling. Their base this year is actually three down linemen, two linebackers, and six defensive backs. So that's their base defensive personnel. So they will every now and then get into some 4-down looks, but most of the time you're going to see a nose guard, number 5, who's 330 pounds. You're going to see a defensive end who may line up anywhere from outside the tackle to head up the tackle to inside the tackle. He's 300 pounds. And then you see the other end that's about 275 pounds. So that's their front 3. And then everywhere else, they're small. They're small and kind of athletic, but they really try to get those big plugs in there on the interior. And all of them have single digit numbers too. So it's like number 5, number 0, and number 9. And the jerseys are all stretched and yeah, but no, there's some big boys. There's some big boys up front. So it'll be a really good challenge for our offensive line. We gotta be ready to play a physical brand of football this week. We should be able to run the ball. When you play that many defensive backs, you're creating a lot of extra gaps inside and forcing those guys to come from pretty deep in the back end to come and make tackles. But like I said, we got to be able to make those guys miss in the open field. If we can do that, I think we'll be able to control them in the run game. And then defensively, they're leading the conference in rushing. And so we have our hands full from the defensive perspective, trying to contain their rushing attack. And so should be a good game for us, and looking forward to it. And everybody, if you're traveling to Houston, there's a lot of great places to eat and a lot of fun things to do. So appreciate you guys, and we'll turn it over to Eddie and hear from Coach Garfield. Oh, one more. Oh, there we go. About to say. Make it. We didn't have a game last week. I know you had to think back 2 weeks ago, so. Oh, Jamari. No. Well, I know. It's euphemism. I have a state for him. Oh goodness. Now, won't. Now that Texas Southern, that's green. Texas Southern is maroon and silver. I was right. Okay, that's right. Just making sure. I like it. You got FAMU colors with Texas Southern on the front of it. I like it. And in gray. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I love it. You got a green and gold shirt. I like it. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's a lot of good things to eat in Texas, Houston. Your words won't be one of them. So we appreciate it. But thank you guys. We appreciate it. And I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you, Coach. Coach, I never got criticized once when I was playing quarterback. 7, would you come up and bring up our guests, our track coaches?
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you our head track coach, Coach Garfield Ellenwood.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you supporting us, and I just wanted to stop by real quick to just remind you that the cross country SWAC championships is next Monday at Appalachia State Park. The women will start at 9 a.m. sharp. So if you can be there to support, we greatly appreciate it. Coach Kinchin, our head cross country coach, she's put in a lot of hard work, and we're expecting some good performances. So the more support, the better. And we wanted to make sure we got here because we thank you for everything you've done for us. Wanted to actually give a special shout out to Vaughn, Selvin. Vaughn was at our last meet, noticed that we didn't have a tent, and said that had to get taken care of. And we appreciate your support and giving the go ahead to get us that tent. You had a question? If you go straight down Appalachia, you know where Walmart is? On the right, it's about maybe 3 more miles down. As soon as you pass, I think it's sim, yeah, Wall of Football, where they play all the Pop Warner games at. If you get there about 8:45, you'll be out of there by 9:30. unless you stay for the trophies presentation. You get what I said? It's the SWAC championship for cross country. So that park that they have there is actually where they hold the NCAA championships. So it's a really good course. But like I said, you get there 8:45. It's not long all day. Be in and out. You can be out of there by 9:30. Monday, October 23rd. That's my spiel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Coach, Coach, I ran cross country in case you want to any question. People, same time, same place next week. All right. Yes. Oh, yes. Dilsey.
Hello to all. I just would like to tell you, as you will watch the parade, my granddaughter, you see come in sometime with me, Dream Hogan. She is Miss FAMU DRS Queen, and she will wave to you and throw you some candy at the parade.
Yes. Yes. Wilbur has the floor. Yes, Wilbur. They're coming through Tallahassee. Okay. All right. Next week, people, same time, same place.